All right, so in order to get where you want to be, you got to start off slow. Hi, my name is Ryan. This is Ryan Talks. Now, I know you hear this said everywhere, and the reason that it's said everywhere, or like KISS, keep it simple, stupid, or something along those lines. So you want to get into something with just working into it. So, like, for example, for an exercise program, uh, let's use that for an example, right? You don't want to start off, well, you probably can't even start off at the highest level that you're going to get to, right? Like if you use squats, for example, if your potential is squatting 550 pounds, your first day of squatting is not going to be 550 pounds. If you do manage that, right, you're probably going to be on the ground. You're probably going to be in the back of an ambulance. You're probably going to be in a lot of trouble. Or if you're staying on exercise, if you're example of doing cycling, right? Don't start off on a 45-mile ride if you've never ridden a bike. Or art, like one more example, art, you're never going to have a masterpiece, your first art project, right? It's never going to happen. You might get like a decent art out, but it's not going to be to the level that you want to be at. So don't do this to yourself for anything else. Like if you want to start a business, don't just think that you're going to be making $50 million a week right off the bat, right? You're probably going to make $50 a week if you're lucky right off the bat. Now, I know with the day and age of the internet, you can expedite things that you couldn't expedite in the past. I do understand that. I recognize that. That's 100%. That's awesome. That's one thing about the internet that's really good. But by and large, you really want to kind of have that beginning phase of things work really good and then they fail. Work really good and then they fail. Because you can learn how to get into the mindset of doing just little improvements. Like back to the example of exercise. Like for me, I struggle to be consistent with aerobic exercise. So I'm just going to do 10 minutes a day. Guarantee it. Wake up 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day. See the results from that. Then maybe add up, 10% to that, right? You never want, the reason I'm kind of flush is because I just did that. And so I wanted to make a video about that, not about the exercising part, and you're not talking about exercise, but if there's something on this planet that everybody comes here and knows what they want to do, usually when they're 5 years old. Like when I was 5, I told my dad, only vocational thing I ever said to anybody. When I was 5 years old, I looked at my dad. I said, I'm going to work in video games. Have I done it? No. Did I go to school for it? Yes. Right? So I know how to make them, but I really don't want to do that. I want to talk about the nostalgia factor. I want to talk about some of the other stuff. So I got to get that to happen, right? But if you want to do, I don't know, maybe you want to write a book. You can't write all 900 pages or whatever in your first day. And then even if you did, it's got to be edited down. It's got to be this, got to be that. You got to make little, you're going to have to change dynamics with characters. Or if it's a fictional book, you're going to, you might get something wrong. You're going to have to change this and change that. It's really all a matter of getting started with simple steps, just getting started is like the hardest thing in the world. I love to do art. My art table's broken down practically. None of the stuff is up. Everything's in totes, right? Because I thought it was going to be moving. I haven't even taken the little step of setting my art studio back up, but even that alone would get me probably back to doing art. But I got so many other things that I want to get done right now that I am putting that on the back burner. But if that was the thing that you want on the front burner, and your art table is sitting in pieces and all your art supplies are in totes, get them out. Like spend one day, just set up your studio however you want to set it up. Now you might not have the money to set it up exactly how you want to, but there's like right now my microphone's sitting on a box. There is boxes everywhere because nobody can go to the store anymore. Well, it's like 25%, ordering online. But nobody, a lot of people order, there's boxes everywhere. You can create a studio with boxes. Imagine that, right? You are this famous artist and your entire studio is put together with boxes, right? Just to prove a point that you don't have to have all this fancy stuff. Just that alone might get you crazy views on Instagram. Who knows? Especially if you have the right aesthetics and you have the right art and you have everything, just like decent lighting, that might take off alone and then people are going to want to know what the hell you're doing. So just get started. You don't use these excuses. Well, I don't have money for this. I don't have money for this. I know the art supplies are extremely expensive. So for me, I started off in black and white. I like marker. I really like marker. Markers are expensive. Back when I was buying them, they were like $7 to $8 a piece, right? Because I buy Copic. So I started off monochromatic. I don't think I even have, I think I told my dad, matter of fact, last weekend just to throw all that stuff out. I don't have anything to even show anybody, but I started off monochromatic. So what I did was I bought a set of cool and a set of warm gray. And that's how I got started. And that's, because I had to do art classes during my video game career, basically, at school. I had studios after me, but I just didn't like the vibe in LA, which really sucks. Which at that time was the only where that you could work was LA, and I didn't really like the vibe. The internet wasn't good enough to kind of be at your own location. And now that it is, I don't remember anything. I'd have to start all over again, and I don't want to do that. So what I would have to do is start another, like into video games in a different manner. And there's so many different manners. And that is the thing. You've got, what angle do you want to come at this at? And what little baby steps can you take to get there? Now, everybody's going to want to know in the comment section, once, this video is seeing a lot of people, did I do that? And I'm hoping the answer is yes. Yes, I did that in some capacity. Especially, I'm doing art right now for a company, but that ends because it goes by semester. It does a lot of work with colleges and universities. So once they're on summer break, I have a lot of time on my hands, and that's when I would do something like that. And that's when I would do the coaching for, if you watch my other channel, High Carb Generator, or Raw Vegan Eats Plant Based. That is when I would do one of those things, a consult, which I got to get started soon. I know I say this stuff, but then things come up, but you have to make sure that you at least get a little bit done with it a day. A little bit done. Like for me, my little bit with that was I set up my Patreon. Now I'm looking into the pricing on the Patreon. And I do have a couple people that are on my Patreon. So that little step, right? The little step, not 30,000 people are not going to join your Patreon in the first day. 30,000 people probably, unless you get lucky, are not going to join your Instagram in the first day. But find out how to make that happen. And then you will just only do what it is that you want to do for the rest of your life. Mostly. This might change. 20 years from now, you may be like, I hate art. I did it. I sold a lot of art. I just don't want to do it anymore. I want to do, whatever, ride bike. And then you go down that path. But you have to go down a path for the path to open. Because if you don't, like another thing, I'm going to get to Thailand. I'm saying all the stuff that I want to do. People can see it. Like, do I get it done? And sometimes as you're going into this, as you're getting into the arena, you think you want to do something, but you might not. Like once you really start putting your effort into it, you're like, this is kind of stressful. For example, for me, for eBay, right? I loved going to find this stuff on eBay. I loved it. I loved hunting for this stuff on eBay, but I just didn't like anything else. I didn't like the listing. I didn't like to take the pictures, even though I ran a photography studio. It's not the same thing. I didn't like having to find storage for everything. I didn't like all that kind of stuff. So I backed it off. I ran a huge sale on my site. I got rid of whatever I couldn't sell on my site because I'm not a huge fan of garage sales. Brings a lot of crazies. And I just, I do have some stuff over there still. It was my stuff. Like, it's not stuff that I went and found at a garage sale or it's stuff that I found at a thrift store, right? It was my stuff. And it's stuff that I wanted to hang on to. So I got rid of that. I moved on from it. And you're going to have to do that. You're going to go down a path that you really think that you want to go down. And it may not be. And you have to learn how to cut it. Don't just drag it along part way. You either want to do it or you don't. Now, I just leave that stuff up. If it sells, great. I'll send it out. I don't advertise anymore. I don't market anymore. I don't, nothing, right? It's up there. It doesn't cost me a dime. If it sells, great. And that is where my eBay is right? And that might be also where some of your stuff gets. You know, you just never know where you're going to be with these things. But for like, if you use art, for example, you may just like it so much. I mean, nobody even knows that you even exist anymore other than people buying your art, right? It's just all you do. You're all consumed by it. And I've seen this. And people love it. This is all they want to do. You know, the people who really are successful in a monetary sense in this world are people who just do what they love to do and the money just follows. If you get into it because you think it's going to make a ton of money, or if you think it's going to bring you fame, or if you think it's going to do whatever, you're just doing it for the wrong reasons. It's never going to work out. You're always going to be struggling because you really don't like it. And so that energy is not going to come out of you. That energy for getting that done is not going to come out of you. Now, I've seen so many people do this, and it's weird. I'm almost jealous of the people who are born, who are maybe not the smartest people you ever met, but love to do one thing. They just do that one thing the second they can do it, and they just do it until they are in their grave. They pop out knowing exactly this one thing that they want to do. They do that one thing, and then that's all they do. That's all they do. Now, they might have other hobbies. They might go on vacations a lot. They might do whatever else it is, but they only do X monetarily because that's all they know how to do. Those of us who get stuck in our brains think you can never get anywhere if you're always in your brain. I think I've said it in like 90% of my videos on this channel. If you are always, and the reason I say that is because I am that way. If you are stuck in your brain thinking whatever, imagining all these possibilities, you are not the universe. You are you. You are plugged into the universe, but you are not the universe. So you just have to put that thought out there. You just have to put the thing into motion, and everything will catch up with you. And that's what I say. Look, you just have to go do whatever it is that you want to do, and things will go into motion. Now, it might take longer than you want it to take. It might take longer than you want it to take. But at the end of the day, if you stick with it, it will catch up to you. But if you're constantly doing this, just kind of like me, right? I run like 3 channels right now. One of them is going to fall off, and I'm just never going to even open it up again. I'll forget it even exists. I've got one channel like that already, and of course it's my gaming channel. But I really wanted to get the message out there about this and about losing weight, because I know what it was like to be 405 pounds. It wasn't great, right? So I want to make a video about that, or a channel about that. But I also have had a lot of jobs. I've known a lot of people over in my life, and I see the same things over and over and over again, because I know a lot of very, very successful people and a lot of not very successful people, and I see the difference, and it's the same every single time, other than people that I know that are trust fund babies who never had to do anything in their life, who are on vacation their entire life until they're dead. I do know people like that. A number, actually, a lot of them are in my family, but even not in my family, I know people like that, right? And most of them are assholes and miserable. Most of them are. But the people who have really been successful in modern day terms just did one thing. Just one thing. And it was amazing. I remember this one guy, I worked with him at New York Life. His head never was really in it. He was a banker. He wanted to work on stock exchange. He wanted to work in hedge funds. He wanted to do this kind of stuff. He sucked at selling. He couldn't sell anything. I partnered up with him just because I knew his background, and I figured his background was going to help the team, us, achieve things. But it tanked my entire career at New York Life, and eventually actually got fired because my numbers weren't good enough. But my numbers, I was like the all-star seller up until I teamed up with this guy. But his personality and mine were so good that it was like a fit. And he had a lot of money. And I really, like, I was coming into it from a sales position that I had prior that really got caught up in this huge, like, a scandal from the 80s, basically. They were selling these insurances to do certain things, and none of them performed like they were supposed to. So basically, I was going to all these visits just to kind of do damage control, and it was just bankrupting me. And so I went over to New York Life, and I had this skill, right? You know, because I think one of the best things is you got to listen to people in that world, and they have to know that you are not there for a sale. You are there to fill a need that they have. Because if they know that you're there for a sale, it's never going to happen. It is not going to happen unless they are like on their deathbed and they think that you somehow are going to be able to sell them life insurance that somehow they're going to get. Other than that, you got to go in there. And I had that personality, right? They knew when I walked in, if they bought it, great. If they didn't, you know, whatever, I got things to do. You know, I can go, you know, I usually actually kept my bike in my car and some clothes because I was in a suit. I would just go ride bikes somewhere. But, so you have to have this mentality of like, just, anyway, so back to the point of this guy, right? I just could tell. I'm like, dude, why don't you just go do this again? I said, I love like our dynamic, but sales wise, it's not great, right? I did every single sale that we had. I set up, we split it. And I'm like, why am I splitting with this guy? But by the time I finally just decided that it wasn't working anymore, I got fired because my performance wasn't good enough because, you know, whatever. But what he did was smart. He actually went and did what he said he wanted to do. And what is he doing now? He probably makes like $5 million a week. And that's good for him, right? And I ran my, you know, but, you know, whatever. I got screwed on that deal and he didn't. But I don't hold any grudges. We used to be friends. We just don't talk anymore. But anyway, that's a good example to me of like, that's all he talked about. In our visits, I'm like, dude, why are you doing this? I know that what we did was connected, but like, you know, why are you doing it? Anyway, I think I'm just blabbering on now. I think I've given you some good examples. Just go do, like, if you want to start maybe you already have the job that you like. If you just want to start an exercise program, just go start off with 10 minutes a day, every day. Wake up, just do it and get on. And, you know, treat everything else like that. Anyways, that was my video. Share, comment, like, questions down below. Subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next video.